Good morning, everyone. Hey, it's Rob Simopoulos, President of Advanced Technology, and we welcome you to our next episode of Webinar Wednesdays. Today is going to be a great one. We've got Will Railton from Stanley Healthcare here to talk to us about the ROI and how you can build efficiencies inside of your organization through asset tracking. So can we go, let's start it off. Let's go to the next slide to begin with. So just to tell you a little bit about advanced technology, if you don't know already, on the left-hand side, you'll see the different solutions that we provide to our customers. The first thing being access control, so card or biometric access in or out of a building, along with badge services. So that's printing or developing of custom ID badging. We do video surveillance and video surveillance monitoring for our customers. Parking services, so if you have a parking garage or an area that you want to limit vehicle access to, we do that for our customers. Audiovisual, conference rooms, lecture halls, and so on. We do a lot of those for many of our customers throughout New England. Digital signage and video walls. I think a few slides in, you'll see that our team won an award for a project we did at Fairpoint Communications where the video wall was voted the best mission-critical system nationwide, so we're excited about that. We're going to dive a little bit into a couple of sub-solutions here, but what we're talking about today is real-time location systems, and along with that comes our HUG solution, which is a baby protection system, pediatric protection system, and adult protection system that can run on that. And then real-time location systems as the platform is what Will's going to be discussing with us today in regards to asset tracking being one of the solutions that can be piggybacked into the mobile view platform. On the right-hand side, we get excited about what our team is achieving. On the top left, it's talking about security, sales, and integration, naming us the installer of the year for all of North America, which we're really excited about. We were named that in 2013. Advanced Technology has been named twice in 5 years as one of the fastest growing systems integrators in the country also. And then down at the bottom, we've been named by Commercial Integrator magazine as top commercial and top healthcare providers in the industry. So can we go on to the next slide, please? So we service all of New England, Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Vermont. And we also help support our customers worldwide with projects that they might be deploying in areas outside of this area also. So we've been doing projects throughout other countries and throughout the rest of North America. And at the bottom there, you'll see that we do take care of a vast array of different vertical markets for our customers. And let's go on to the next slide. And if you head to our website, you'll be able to peruse and read through a number of different articles that have been written about our team and our organization. I mentioned the Fairpoint Communications articles down in the bottom right. But feel free to visit our website. One thing I do want to add is that we hold these webinars on a regular occasion. The next one's coming up on June the 22nd, and it's going to be about safeguarding America's harbors. So we'll be talking about installing security solutions water side, which is exciting, June the 22nd. And we post all of these webinars on our website. So feel free to go to our website and go back and look at some of the other webinars that have been done. So we'll move on to the next slide. I'm excited to introduce Will Railton from Stanley Healthcare, and he's going to talk to us about asset tracking. All right, Will, it's all yours.
Great, guys. Hope everybody can hear me. Hope everybody's having a great day. Thanks, Rob. First off, I'll kind of start off by saying, we've been partners with Advanced Technology for many years, even before I came on board here, and it's been a great partnership. They've been a very, very strong partner, as Rob mentioned, in the infant security space. This webinar, I think, really came out of a lot of what we've been seeing in the market. We live and breathe asset tracking every day, but even, Advanced Technology, talking with their customers and hearing their feedback. I believe that, this stuff is starting to make its way towards kind of the general hospital organization population, and we're starting to see a lot of hospitals, small to mid-market hospitals, that really, haven't looked at this. They weren't really, looking to be cutting edge or anything like that, starting to take a second look at wrapping their hands around how to manage these assets better and look at technology to try to utilize that. So I'm really excited to present this. I think it really kind of hits home with what we're seeing in the market. and hopefully it kind of hits home with some of the questions or some of the interests that you guys have been seeing as well. So, so do I have control over here? Doesn't. Let me see. Nope. So I'll just lead you through. I'll let you know when to advance. So just a little bit of quick background on us. So we are Stanley Healthcare. We're part of Stanley Black & Decker, big Fortune 250 company, 45,000 employees, very, very stable, trusted brand in a lot of different markets. So really puts us in a really good position for delivering a multitude of solutions throughout healthcare organizations. I threw up a couple of some logos that maybe you've seen around your facilities. Hugs is obviously, kind of one of our larger solutions, one of our larger brands in the infant security market. Inner Space for storage, WanderGuard, AeroScout is a little bit of the technology we're talking about today. So, there's probably no doubt that there's a lot of Stanley already in the facility. Actually, after this webinar, you're going to be looking at every, power door, automatic door, and you're going to see a Stanley logo probably on them. So, we're definitely a big player, specifically in the healthcare markets, it's given us a really good opportunity to kind of deliver some groundbreaking technology and some market-leading technology using just our large presence in the market as kind of a backing. So you can advance to the next slide. So what we're going to talk a little bit about, basically, as Rob mentioned, RTLS, or real-time location systems. And I wanted to kind of just give a quick overview of what RTLS looks like at Stanley Healthcare. And then after this, we're going to go into kind of the specific ROI calculations, just to, so you can kind of see how we pull some of these efficiencies out. But I just want to give you kind of a quick overview of really what this looks like. So mobile view in the middle of this is our RTLS platform. That's the piece of software that all of this technology goes down. And really the umbrella explanation of this technology is we are identifying the location of assets and people and anything really within the organization, and through a number of different technologies to do that. But at the essence, we are identifying the location and the time in real time that those assets or those people are within your facility in a given area. So what we're going to concentrate for this discussion is the ability to use that real-time location specifically for asset tracking, asset management, and what ROI or what efficiencies you can pull directly from understanding the real-time location of those assets. So if you want to advance again. And I guess again, I probably have a couple extra slides in here, so just advance until, yeah, perfect. So what I wanted to do real quick was I wanted to separate two terms that I think are used interchangeably in a lot of arenas, but for the matters of this conversation, I wanted to make sure that there was kind of a clear distinction. So if you want to advance one more time. So asset management is, I think, gets confused with asset tracking sometimes. Asset management really is the process of managing the inventory and the status of your physical assets within an organization. So that could mean anything from keeping a spreadsheet on your computer of serial numbers and preventative maintenance, or however you organize that, to even really advanced what are called CMMS systems, basically materials management systems. So anything that organizes the inventory of physical assets within your environment is kind of under this asset management bubble. So if you want to scroll ahead again. So what is asset tracking? How do we separate that from asset management? And go ahead and forward again. So asset tracking is really the ability to take that asset management process and add real-time location as basically as a characteristic of that asset. So not only do we know the serial number and when we bought it and when its next PM cycle is kind of come up, but we also know the real-time location of that asset. So what we're talking about for this discussion is really what kind of efficiencies are gained from understanding the real-time location of those assets. So go ahead and advance. And again. So let's talk about, I think, a pretty common way to determine asset location. Now, right now, all hospitals are figuring out where their assets are somehow. So, you know, it's a necessity of running a healthcare organization, or really any organization, is to understand where these assets are. So if you want to click ahead, the majority of the hospitals right now are obviously manually searching for this equipment. It's a big part of staff members' day, and that staff member could be a biomed engineer, it could be an RN, an LPN, or whatever level within the organization. Somebody's looking for assets at some point. So we know this is a necessary process for managing a healthcare environment. Manually searching, walking around the hospital, looking for IV pumps, looking for beds, whatever you're looking for. So obviously the most common method is to manually search for this stuff. And I think it's proven by, you know, study after study after study that it's a very inefficient use of staff time, and it tends to take up a pretty large majority of the work hours for a staff member. And then when we start to look at reporting, you know, how many IV pumps do we have and all this stuff, there's a lot of human error within reporting using manual searching as a way to report. So I kind of stole my thunder, but the process, a lot of the large organizations and a lot of small organizations have gone towards some type of automated real-time location system for managing these assets. So this is just kind of a, you know, a quick screenshot, but essentially it's adding that layer of automated real-time location to your asset management process. So now we know where available assets are, so we're going to reduce the amount of time that's spent searching. We want to enhance our asset management process. We want to be able to quickly identify where assets are, if they're leaving the building, if they're leaving a certain area of the hospital. This gives us the ability to really get granular with an asset management process. We're going to reduce the spend on new equipment because we're going to be utilizing our equipment more, and this is highly reportable. So unlike manually searching and looking through the hospital and trying to count inventory, which is, you know, prone to human error, we have a real-time image of the inventory that's within the hospital walls anytime we want it. So as I mentioned before, most of the large organizations, very large national organizations, have gone towards some type of real-time location system for asset management within the last 5 years. What we've seen in the last, let's say, 2 years, year and a half, is a huge influx of kind of the general population of healthcare organizations either looking into this or already pursuing this type of system, because what they're finding is that no matter if you're a large hospital or a small hospital, the problems of finding available equipment exist for everybody. So what I wanted to kind of concentrate on is I'm going to take a 300-bed hospital and kind of show you an example of a couple of areas of ROI and what we've done with customers. This is actually from a customer that we've worked with, and I've kind of generalized some of the information just to kind of give you a feel for how we can pull some ROI out of this process. And one thing I'll kind of lead with is, as I mentioned, I think in the last couple of years, almost every hospital has looked into this type of system, and they said, oh, it's too expensive, or you know, it seems nice, but you know, it's not going to quite make it through budget. So what, you know, typically happens is it goes into budget without a real clear quantified ROI attached to it, and it's hard to kind of, you know, wrap your mind around some of the soft costs. I think everybody kind of logically knows if it's fast to find equipment, if it's easy to find equipment, then there's going to be some savings there, but no one really understands how to put you know, how to quantify it. So this is just, I wanted to show you kind of a couple examples of what the impact, what the immediate impact in a medium-sized 300-bed facility, you know, this type of solution can really bring. So if you want to advance to the next slide, and it's kind of and go ahead again. So I kind of mentioned before, really there's 4 key ROI drivers for introducing this type of solution into an environment. Reduce search time, I mean, that's the big one that we're going to hone in on a little bit. Loss prevention, stuff going out the door, stuff going into ceilings. We've seen stuff hidden in hospitals that, you know, I think it doesn't surprise any nurses, but when I first got into this business, it definitely surprised me where, you know, where I've seen some assets hidden or hoarded. Increased utilization, you know, we're looking to utilize what we have within the hospital more. And rental reductions, we have a lot of hospitals that will put a tracking device on a rental asset, and they will automate when that rental asset is in use so that they can automate contacting their rental vendor to pull it out so that they're not being charged with extra rentals, or they don't have rentals on the floor that aren't being used. So that's another key area. So if you want to advance again, so just for time's sake, I wanted to concentrate on really 2 kind of easily calculated pieces of ROI, easily quantifiable impacts that asset tracking can have in an environment. So if you want to scroll ahead just 2 clicks here. So let's talk about reducing search time. Go ahead. So I wanted to kind of run through this quick example. Again, reducing search time, whether it's a biomed engineer, a staff member, an RN, an LPN, people are spending a lot of time looking for assets. And the other disclaimer I'll throw over this is completely you know, open numbers. So there's some national studies that you know, put time spent searching for an average staff member, depending on title, at about 15 to 30%. But really, I mean, you can bring that percentage anywhere. All of these numbers are really customizable to a particular organization. So I took this 300-bed example that we had worked on with another customer, but your numbers may be slightly different, but no matter what, the impact's going to be pretty great. So I'll step you through real quick and kind of show you how we get to some annual ROI numbers. So as I mentioned before, percentage of time spent searching, I like to take kind of conservative numbers, but 15 to 30% are kind of national averages for an RN. Oh, that's one thing I'll kind of point out. This is specific to an RN role, so these calculations are based on an RN. So on a 300-bed hospital, I've also kind of assumed an average occupied bed status of about 220 beds. So that's an average total, you know, occupied bed. I do know in the Northeast in the last couple months, you know, if it's a 300-bed hospital, somehow they've been able to get 350 patients in there. So census have been really high, so that number can swing as well. Nurse to patient ratio, you know, this is going to swing again, depending on your organization. A 1 to a 3, so you know, 1 nurse to 3 patients is a kind of a standard ratio from an RN perspective. However, you know, those ratios could go to 1 to 5 or 1 to 2 in some situations. So, so what we want to try to get, if we want to understand, we use those numbers to understand how many nursing hours per day we have within the institution. I believe I based this on an 8-hour workday and 3 shifts. So, so basically, you know, that calculation, we get 645 RN hours in a particular day within a facility that's about 220 beds. So if we take a look at that, and we say 15% of that time is being used to search for assets, search for available assets from an RM. You know, we're looking at 96 hours per day within a facility that RNs are searching for assets. And from an RN standpoint, any time that takes the RN out of direct patient care costs the hospital a tremendous amount of money. You know, RNs, you know, really their time is spent patient-facing, and there's a lot of initiatives within the hospital to get that patient-facing time, to increase that patient-facing time. Well, this is one really easy way to increase that RN patient-facing time. So, you know, an average RN loaded, so this was $43 loaded with benefits and everything. Again, that could swing 30 to $45, depending on the facility, but just to kind of give a round number. So what we've calculated is that $4,100, $4,128 per day in nursing hours is spent looking for assets, just manually looking for assets. So if you can go to the next page and click ahead. So if we annualize that cost, the hospital is spending just for the RN position alone about $1.5 million in hourly wage time and quantifiable time. It's not a soft cost of just RNs spent searching for equipment. And what we've seen is a lot of hospitals have even tried to put processes in place through a transportation department or a logistics department to try to automate that process. But even with the automation, we see still RNs, a great deal of time searching for assets, not relying on the process necessarily of, a central process or anything. So we know there's a lot of time going out the door. So if you want to click one more ahead here. So our goal is going to be an 85% reduction in clinicians searching for assets. And we'll do that two ways. Number one, either the nursing staff has access to the solution and is able to determine where assets are and go into the the software or whatever you're using directly to find the real-time location of the asset. So that's one way. And another way is just to the RTLS system can aid in the internal process of delivering available assets to that unit in a timely fashion. So we work with a lot of hospitals where they utilize the software to make sure that each unit has a specific par level of, let's say, IV pumps, and they maintain that available par level so that the nurse never has to search for assets. They just go to the closet or they go to the area. They know that they've always got a stock of IV pumps. So, there's a couple ways to shop that. We work directly with the organizations to kind of figure out the best pieces of the puzzle to put together to create the biggest impact. However, just an 85% reduction in one way or another, we're looking at $1.2 million in a 300-bed facility. That's a pretty impactful savings, and I can tell you the solutions do not cost anywhere close to that figure. So that's time spent searching. I wanted to touch upon, if you want to click ahead, kind of another very easily quantifiable area is loss prevention, and this is really defined as stuff going out the door. It's specifically, we're looking at IV pumps here, so maybe IV pumps going out the ambulance bay, getting lost within the facility and being written off. So there's quite a bit of that type of impact out there in facilities. They're typically losing, once again, 10 to 15% attrition on movable medical equipment per year is just kind of a national average. So if you want to click one more time, and I'll kind of show you how this kind of comes together from a calculation standpoint. Might have to click again. I baked in a lot of blank slides for some reason. So I took a 15% annual shrinkage estimate, and this is IV pumps. IV pumps are highly mobile, and sometimes 15% can even be a conservative number. But just right there, you can see, on a 1,000 IV pump facility, which might be, a little heavy, but let's say even a 500 pump facility, you're still going to be about $200,000 to $300,000 savings on shrinkage. So you're losing, roughly $500,000 a year in IV pumps. And if you want to click one more time, so we're going to shoot for an 85% reduction in that. So we're going to try to reduce that shrinkage by $446,000. So that's a very easy, again, quantifiable ROI calculation to be able to, come up with what is the impact of bringing this real-time asset tracking into an environment. So if you want to just scroll ahead, I kind of summarize, a quick summary of RN time spent searching, the loss prevention. You can see kind of an annual savings there, about $1.7 What we typically do is we're going to have multiple areas when we're actually building out a full ROI calculation, which is something that we assist all of our customers on. We're going to build out RN time, LPN time, biomed time, really any staff classification that that is searching currently, that's involved in searching for assets, nurse unit coordinators, and the whole thing. And we'll also bring in the asset utilization piece, which we talked about, increasing the utilization of pumps. And there's a lot of other areas when we're building out a full ROI calculation that a lot of people don't think about. But I wanted to, just for the sake of this, we're up against our time here, but I just wanted to kind of show a quick calculation and show you how this, the impact can really add up quickly. When you're looking at these systems, and when you go to budget, when you're looking at this and you're packaging to go through a budget committee, when you can connect some of these dollars and you can get a 2 or 3 or 4 month ROI, that's something a budget committee will look at and very easily passes when it's done correctly. So yeah, so that's kind of my 2 cents. I don't know if we have questions, guys, or anything like that, but I'll we'll hand it back over to ATI.
We'll get into some questions here, Will. So that was great, and Will and our team here at Advanced Technology have been going out doing some of these ROI analysis for our customers all around the territory, and getting some great feedback and working on some projects. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat area in the bottom right corner, and we'll get to those questions. So Will, I know you've got another meeting, but if we take 5 minutes, I hope that works. I've got a question for you. So we're talking about Wi-Fi based asset tags that are going to be put on beds, pumps, and so on, and they're communicating on the wireless infrastructure. What wireless infrastructures do you work with today?
So we'll work with pretty much anything that's out there. We've worked with, obviously Cisco actually used to be an investor with us, so we have a lot of development around Cisco infrastructures. We deploy on Aruba. We see a lot of Aruba out there. We're seeing an increase in Meraki. So you name it, and we can integrate it. I haven't seen anything that, we haven't run across anything in a hospital that we haven't integrated with yet.
Great. And so we have a question that came up here in the chat, and it's saying, in a hospital there are different types of assets. What are some unique assets that you've actually put your tags onto? So maybe that's a good one to answer, maybe talking about, considering that staff could be even an asset, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So one case that came up actually recently that I've been working on is a hospital that has that transportation department that I talked about, and they're really in charge of moving assets around the organization. So the first layer was really asset tracking for the transportation department. They want to know where wheelchairs and IV pumps are, and that was pretty straightforward. But they also wanted to track their transportation department staff members, so that when a call comes down to transportation for a wheelchair or a pump, whoever the operator is can locate the asset and locate the staff member that's closest to it to be able to run that, deliver that pump. So I thought that was, we've seen that in little pockets, but I thought that was a really kind of interesting use of taking that basic asset tracking system and kind of, expanding the use of it out a little bit.
Great. So I know we're up against time here, so we're going to end the webinar. If there are any other questions that are coming about, or if you're typing into the chat menu as we speak, please send them over to info@advancedtechnology.com, and we'll make sure we get your answer back. Hey, Will, thanks so much for joining us. Much appreciated.
Not a problem. It was a pleasure.
All right, have a great day. We'll see you.